Hello, parents. I, Leena Raut, welcome you all on GenX Parenting. Few days ago, I read an article about an interesting aspect called vitamin N. As I finished reading this article, I felt that, oh, this is it. This is what I want to communicate or make it reach out to the parents. Because nowadays, children are missing out on this very essential supervitamin. So I immediately reached out to the author and requested her to join me on GenX Parenting so that what I have learned through her, I can make it reach out to many parents. Let's welcome Miss Aarati Bharj. She is a clinical psychologist and a relationship coach. She is an internationally accredited emotions mastery coach and NLP master practitioner as well. Let's welcome her on GenX Parenting and then let's get started with our video. Hello, Aarti ji. Welcome to GenX Parenting.
Thank you, Leena. Thank you for inviting me here today to share my thoughts.
So, ma'am, what exactly is this vitamin N that you propose to be so essential for development of emotional quotient or emotional intelligence in children as they grow?
So vitamin N, or saying no to our children, is necessary as parents. Because as parents living in today's modern world, what we do or what we think is we have to provide everything to our children. But in the process, what happens is children go on becoming more and more demanding. So it is necessary to provide them some dose. And as we say vitamin, it's this dose of this vitamin in micronutrients. So we have to provide this dose to our children in small quantities, but sometimes say no. And when should we say no? We have to see that what the child is asking, is it aligned to my values? Or is it really important for the child? And segregate between what the child really wants and what the child really needs for their growth. And similarly, we have to see, is it really adding value to the life? Sometimes I come across during my counseling sessions, I come across children who are asking for iPhone or gadgets just because they're not having the earlier ones, but they want to upgrade, or they want to go for expensive trips just because all of their fellow students are going. So at that time, the parent has to really think, is it really necessary to provide me everything that the child is asking for? Or I have to say no in small quantities.
But from parents' perspective, or maybe this is what some parents voice out at some point of time, that with globalization, with both parents being very well educated, earning very well, they can actually afford these things or afford that kind of lifestyle. And sometimes, I had not had it in my childhood, and that's why I would like to give it to my child. But if this is the scenario, then why we should still deprive our children with all those facilities?
Actually, it's a good question. And I would say that depriving is actually a misnomer, because here we are not saying that you deprive your children essentially with anything. What we are saying is sometimes whenever it is going just beyond the boundaries, you have to stop them. Because by doing that, what happens is then the child becomes emotionally aware. When the no comes, it is a kind of a rejection, and they have to handle the rejection because they are going to step into the real world at some point of time. And are we preparing our children to be in our nest, or are we preparing our children to fly in the sky? If we have to do that, then we have to give them a delicate balance. And when a child has everything that they have asked for, like I will give you an example. I once had a case of a ninth grade student, and he was totally demotivated. And when I asked him what was going on, he said that I have everything. My parents have given me everything. I asked, before even I asked for a new gadget, the gadget is there with me. So it is so dangerous situation that he has lost any motivation, and he is saying that even if I don't do anything for next 20 or 40 years, I have everything that I require for surviving. Then why should I do anything? So are we going to raise children like that, or are we going to raise an animal who is going to feed on us? So it is very important for the self-esteem of the children, for the growth of the children, that you say no. And when you say no, it's important how you say it. So we will cover it in the next point.
That's what my next question is, because you said that it is important to say no, but how you say it, what is the technique to say that? Because it should not happen that our no is misconstrued by children, or sometimes, they get immune if you keep saying no, or if you keep denying things to them. And the most dangerous thing is that they find out ways to get that thing. So how do we do that?
Oh, yes. Children are so smart, Leena, nowadays. They are smarter than their parents. So we have to be very sensitive in the way we communicate with our children. And when we are saying no, in fact, if we look in our day, lot of times we are saying no to our child. We are saying, don't do this, don't do that, don't go here, or stop crying. Why are you doing this? But what happens is, when it comes to materialistic things, then we are not saying no. If I have a meeting of office I have to go for, and my child comes to me and asks for something, then obviously I'm going to say no. But then I have to make him or her understand why I'm doing that. Or a lot of times what happens is, parents want to compensate why they are not spending quality time with their children. They want to compensate by giving the materialistic things. That should not happen. The bargain should not happen. But when we are saying no, like for example, if the child wants to go for a trip abroad and the parent cannot afford it for this time, so they have to really make the child understand. They have to make them sit with them, and they have to make them understand why the situation is like that, and maybe we will try to go afterwards. And sometimes it is important to not having things in all our way. If you remember, when we were children, we did not have all of these facilities these children are having, and when our parents were children, they even had lesser facilities. But we have grown as emotionally balanced adults. If you look at the cases in the courts today, or in the psychology cases, there are hundreds and thousands of cases of depressed children. Why it is happening? Because parents are not being emotionally available for the children. So I think that's a very sensitive aspect, and we have to make the child understand that it is not your right to have everything. It is your privilege, and sometimes you have to earn the things. So parenting is always a delicate balance, and in saying no also, the parent has to develop that balance. So suppose the child comes asking for a new gadget, and I want to say no. So instead of saying no, I'm not going to give you that, we can say that, okay, after you have done something else, then we will look into this. Or if there is a possibility that, okay, right now I cannot afford to send him or her to an expensive coaching classes, so then we can sit with the child, and instead of saying no, I'm not going to send you in a harsh way, we can say that, look, there are better ways to do this, or there are different ways to do this thing, so can we look into this? And it comes to developing a communication channel with your child. So that cannot be done in a day or so. And if your child is not really used to see hearing no from an early stage, if you start from tomorrow saying no, then it's not going to work like that. So it's important to have a trustworthy communication channel established with your child first, and then make them understand why I am saying so. So once they have the background, then they will be able to, they will not be happy with that, but they will be able to understand why the parent is coming from, what they want the child to grow into.
Absolutely agree with this, because it is not a one-time thing. It's a process, and it should start from the beginning. It cannot just be developed in one day, that today onwards I'll start saying no. It's a process that each parent has to develop, and it's a bond that you create with your child and grow on the same. Coming to the next question, that whatever we have spoken so far, it was about the on-the-spot demand. months. But any impact of this parenting technique that you suggest will have on a long-term relationship or any adult relationship? Because, and nowadays these relationships starts also quite an early age. So any long-term impact of adapting to this vitamin N technique?
Definitely, Leena. What is happening is nowadays children are attending puberty at a very early stage, and it's a global phenomenon throughout the world. And their relationships also start quite an early age. Most of the homes, if you see, there will be one or two child per home. So when they grow, and if they are always used to this thing that their demands are getting fulfilled, they don't have to earn it. They just throw tantrums, or they say things, and their demands are getting fulfilled. Then it grows into a psychology of an adult where he or she is not used to understanding the viewpoint of the other person, or compromising. And I'm not saying compromise as a negative notion over here. Compromising in the way that, okay, sharing is required, or sometimes stepping back is required. And nowadays when I do counseling, a lot of cases of young children, they are having breakups, or they are going through the depression, or they are having relationship issues. These kind of cases come to me, and when actually I speak to them, it becomes very evident that from the childhood they have not been raised in that manner where they understand the other person, or where they are able to receive a no as a response. Suppose somebody, mostly it happens with the boys, that they go and propose a girl, and then if she says no, they cannot take no as an answer, because they have not heard no throughout their life. So again, coming back to our point, it is not about saying no every day, because if the child keeps hearing no, 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 then again it is going to have a negative impact. So it has to be in very less quantities, very well balanced, and said in a very sensitive way, but in a way which actually makes the child grow in a responsible adult. Because when they are able to handle these things on their own, they will grow as a mature adult. And I think that's what the society needs today. Myself, and I just want to say a closing tip to all the parents, that prepare your children to fly in the sky.
Thanks, Aarti ma'am, for sharing your views on the significance and power of vitamin N. Lastly, I would just like to say that parents taking care of our children, fulfilling their dreams is indeed our responsibility. But while doing so, as Aarti ma'am has said, that we have to prepare them for the tougher part of life. And for that, it is important for each and every parent to learn how and when to say a loud and clear no. If you think that these suggestions were helpful for you, then do share it in the comments. For more such informative videos, don't forget to subscribe to GenX Parenting. Thank you so much. Thank you, Aarti ma'am.